know we had to cancel last meeting because hurricane. And so thank you so much for coming now. I want to kind of do a 2024 wrap on what all we were able to accomplish last year, specifically in our hurricane response. And I just want to say thank you so much to the Booster Club. Michelle is here at the Booster Club. Thank you so much for working in partnership with PFA immediately following the hurricane so that we could come together and provide emergency grocery assistance for some of our faculty and staff. And we were able to source food for lunches for our students and our faculty and staff that were reporting to campus for that week who still did not have power, who didn't have the ability to go get groceries for their lunches. So that really happened because of our partnership with Booster Club. Carrie got the phone call from Eric. He said he opened up the concession stand. We were able to source all of the drinks and the snacks. Helen, she's the vision behind all of it. Helen was at the grocery store very early, packing sandwiches with a group of parent volunteers with Miss Willie. Miss Willie got the kitchen fired up. Thank you, Miss Willie, if you're watching. Got the kitchen fired up, and she made spaghetti, and she made cake, and the kids absolutely loved it. So that was just a ray of sunshine immediately following what was just really hard on this community. So thank you so much, and that's really inspiring to me, and why PFA is so important above everything else that we do. In those moments, we just proved that we can really come together. So thank you so much for everybody that was involved with that. And just even your presence with you had to be displaced because of the hurricane. Even your presence and support of PFA reinforces our ability to do that. So thank you so much. Following that, Greta is not here, but following that within 30 days, less than 30 days after hurricane, Greta and her team of people put together a huge fall carnival, of which she had to almost completely replace all of the vendors in the planning and find a new petting zoo, all with 130 parent volunteers. And that was huge, considering everything that was going on in people's personal lives and their homes and their property. And everything that I've heard has been positive, so thank you so much for showing up, showing out, and making a really nice event for the kids on campus. So thank you so much. That being said, so the events that we have coming up, we're working on a teacher appreciation lunches that are going to happen in the month of March. We're still waiting on some dates from each division head for those lunches. The lunches are going to be in each lounge, so that the teachers don't have to leave their building or have lunch. So lower school lounge, middle school lounge, upper school lounge, and it will be a catered lunch. So all we really need support, if somebody wants to volunteer to do that, to support the VPs of each division, is that we really need help because the teachers have asked, in addition to thank you, saying thank you for lunch, can we please cover their lunch duty? So that's going to require some volunteers being available during the day, their lunchtime, so that we can have eyes on the kids and they can relax and go to the lounge for lunch. So look for an email about that coming up. My notes. Okay. In addition, it's that time of the year where we look at who's going to be rolling off of our leadership, our executive team at the end of the year, and we start kind of recruiting and bringing in the next batch of leadership. This year, Cecilia Badger is going to be rolling off from the lower school, and Haley Mack is going to be rolling off from the middle school. They have both served an extra year, so a total of 3 years each. We're so thankful, Haley and Cecilia, for everything you've done. If you're interested in filling in this role, if you can do it yourself, or you and a friend. We've also had situations where you could be co-VPs and you work together. especially in the lower school. You can kind of split up duties as far as if there being 8 grades, so you can split up grades. So if you're interested in that, please contact us so we can go ahead and get you rolled over, attending some meetings, and get you trained. I think that is it for me. Courtney Hatcher, a couple things she'd like to say, and then we're going to introduce. No introduction needed. Here, Courtney.
Thank you. So for admissions, one of the best things we can have is families referred by current families. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to admissions right now and ask if you guys have any families, neighbors, people you run into at the grocery store, people that you attend different clubs and associations around town. It just means the world if you can refer friends and neighbors to Augusta Prep. Those are by far our best referrals, are the ones that come from current friends and neighbors. One of the ways too that we can help is by liking and sharing our social media posts. That really helps us to reach them. So people do generally look at our social media, and the more likes and shares we get, obviously, and the more we get put out to people in the community. So I have some brochures here, and it goes to admissions on the back. Yes, Mr. Henning.
I have a question. How are you with admissions applications this time of year? Are you same as you was before, up? Where are you in the journey?
We are up, so better than the past 5 years that I have on record. So we have 100 applications so far for next year, which is really, really strong, strongest we've had. So we're really pleased, and we want to keep getting that word out because the more widely we open the gates, the better then we can fill our classes and offer better and better programming to our students, and it just brings the whole community up. So we really appreciate you guys helping, and then also connecting those new families in, which the PFA has been integral in grafting new families in and helping them feel good. So thank you.
You get to jump?
You get to jump.
You get to jump.
Just get in there. Get in there.
Thank you for welcoming me to PFA. And this is a great, robust room full of people, so I'll talk to this part of my audience in the best of ways. So 6 months in, hi. 6 months here has been a really engaging 6 months. Natural disaster, a snow day. I've been heralded a hero for a snow day. I will go on record that it is a bit of luck, right? Like, it could have been 1 degree in a different direction in an entire rainy day, but for the community and safety, that's the most important decision we can make because we have younger drivers. So, again, thank you for those who have celebrated me, but it is a bit of luck with snow days. A little bit of update. So the mission is always central to who we are and drives us. And in driving the mission, right? This is some of you scrolling your eyes like, wow, that's a long mission statement. It is a long mission statement, but it encompasses truly who we are. And someday we might compress it a little bit. Some updates about the community in general. We've had a middle school head announcement. We've had another announcement come out even yesterday, making you aware of Steve Boyd. You know, what a history as a history teacher here in our community. But there's an intentionality of supporting and celebrating him in the spring, while other individuals have moved into other leadership opportunities, such as Sam sliding in. And we're upgrading where our learning coordinators are now a learning specialist for middle and upper school, and that will be transitioning lower school as well. So there's an intentionality to grow our own individuals in our community, but we're also very competitive to say, how do they compare about a national search? And every one of those roles have had a comparison to what candidates are nationally out there. So I want that known to you. Some other smaller announcements. We have an astronaut coming to speak tomorrow morning to our upper school. I think that's one of the coolest things to happen. It happened a little serendipitously, but he'll be presenting tomorrow to both middle and upper school students about a career as an astronaut. And what a showcase facility to do that in as well. So on the wall over there. Any questions about those updates? Love the videos. Hurricane Cleanup is doing exceptionally well. Thank you for asking that question. So part of it is it's not as happening as quickly as possible because you have to wait for insurance. Insurance is getting back to us in a really nice timeline now. Our recovery as a school will be to be restored. I think insurance is going to cover the vast majority of that. The finance board this week too. The area of the marshland has been totally vacated. I have actually started to work with 2 different groups to talk about what does that look like as a restorative space. One of our own teachers has a background in ecology, and then I have an outside group with University of Georgia. They want to come in and assess it so that we do not have invasive species that take over that space. At one point, this school had a vision for a boardwalk there. We've had that before, right? I don't know where this board will be in that boardwalk idea, but I have a very intentional is the word I'm thanking you. I couldn't get that one out. Intentional step of wanting to make sure that space is for the whole community. It is a wetland. Yeah, we can never build on that space. We can never build on that side space. Actually, we had, before Giles was done, an assessment of the topography of campus and where we can build. And there are 3 different spaces that you can still build, but you're absolutely right. We can't intentionally go into there and change the layout of that space. And that's why I wanted to bring in research, right? Like, let's do this with good, dare I say, design thinking, and I'm going to share what design thinking is. If we're going to do an iteration there, let's make sure we do it the right way, not just leave the space. It's not the only place on campus that we've had to be restored. We're on track with tennis courts being restored and where they are. They look a little unsightly now. That will be changing rapidly before February 1st. The baseball field has been restored. We are looking though of first baseline. Used to have a whole cover of pine trees, so we now need to worry about 5 shag balls that go sideways, foul balls I should say. And hopefully we'll be reaching out to boosters to see how they might help us in that. The entire loop of campus, so your cross-country area, the trail has been restored, but the fence is not yet restored. We have had our bids. Those fences should be done by probably mid-February. I can't allow kids to run on that space because I don't want a dog or something to come in. So that's where we're in a little bit of constraint. I think I'm frustrating some cross-country kids, but it's for our safety and the restoring of the fences. It's a very good question for the updated hurricane. So we as a faculty came back on the very first day, and in coming back, oh, that was another little side note. It definitely went out to the class of 2025 families, and it probably leaked to our larger community. Commencement will be returning indoors this coming spring. And I want to tell you the story of how that happened. In my 3rd week being here, the seniors made an appointment to meet with me, and they pitched it to me. It actually came from their desire to go inside. And so I made them go through the hoops of, what's your argument? Why is this better for the community? Why not have an outdoor event? And they really came back to me with good, legitimate reasons. When students have a voice, I want to listen and be probably the first voice I want to listen to. So they actually went out and surveyed senior parents. They even surveyed junior parents to make sure this is something that's longitudinal, and they're very excited that we will be inside in the board meeting gymnasium before our commencement. So that's a nice little achievement. Questions? Sweet. We did a professional development, and the title of it, you may have been watching social media. Thank you for my 99 followers in social media. But I put out there that design thinking is a mindset, and it was an intentionality for our faculty to come together. And we wanted to explore, not limited to this topic, but this was the major sort of mindset that we wanted to bring to that. Design thinking. Has anyone heard this term? Shocked. Okay. I know you've done design thinking, you've just not used the term design thinking. It has been around the 20th century, a lot of documentation about it. It's been around since the inception of any iteration that somebody makes. For example, you don't build the pyramids without design thinking. You need to have some type of plan. You need to have some type of strategy. I'll take you through what that looks like. You need to build little models before you have your larger iteration. This is where today's learner, by this terminology of design thinking, will be more intentional in what they are doing. So we did sessions that vary. Mindset by design. There were breakout sessions like aligning marketing. I want my faculty, when people are touring through, to know what marketing is like. That's an independent school. That was one of the breakout sessions. You can see there's fun ones too, like mindful VR. So using the virtual reality landscape, faculty explored this sensation of what it's like to use the VR headsets. Even today, I went and saw Mr. Mason using his science class to explore, and really they were dealing with three-dimensional using the VR headsets. Who's used the VR headset? Here, right? Yeah, okay. So we're also doing a program of mindfulness for our students with VR headsets, and that was just one more aspect of the day that I think was really cool. In exploring, and I'll talk about mindset by design, we also explored how AI affects us and where we are with AI. A year ago, this group in the school, had Eric Hudson come in and present about AI, and that just doesn't happen at one moment. That's an ongoing professional development that we want to explore. As a school, we use Flint. If you know ChatGPT and every other version of AI resources, Flint is an educational forum for AI. Mindset. You don't have a yard and teach kids that you can just run in the road. You teach them boundaries and barriers. And sometimes you put up fences to do that. Flint is a fence line for education. So if I put something into ChatGPT, it is available to everyone in the world. If I put something into ChatGPT, it's restricted by this user source. Making sense? Teachers in lower, middle, and upper school can use Flint. It's designed for that. And it provokes the educator to be more efficient. It doesn't replace the educator, and that's where this is. It's human-centric is what education is today. And AI should function around us, not take over for us. I do not foresee the replacement of teachers in the next 100 years by AI. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a robotic form that comes out, or there's some hologram, but really, the educator will stay in the center of this and help with literacy, help with design, help with the use of AI in a nice, healthy way. Questions about Flint? Cool, so I'm pushing my educators to explore Flint AI, if you will, and that's uncomfortable to people. Changing what you do can be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but that's that nimbleness of a mindset. And so we're preparing for tomorrow's problem solvers. Design thinking has to do that. I'm going to show a quick set of design thinking models that have been trends. This is one version of design thinking. You empathize with an individual, you define what problem you want to solve, you create ideas that you want to do, you prototype them, you test them, and then you see if they fail or if they don't fail. The second model, which will look just like the first one, but they did it in a little different way. Notice how fluid it is, right? Same concept. Define, empathize, test, promote, or prototype, and then as you prototype, look for the flaws in your cycle. All right, makes sense. Then there's this one, right? Same thing, they just did it in a different order. Really cool visuals for you, so you can be engaged in that. It still doesn't tell you what this is. There's this version. We're close to the last few. Really like that one for ideas. This is my favorite version because it really shows the concept is not linear. So design thinking is not intended to be, you go from here to here and you're done. In fact, design thinking, for every one of you in your career or things you've done, when you make an iteration or test something, you're going to get feedback from people. And so it is not a sequential, it's a recursive process. I just like the word recursive. It sounds fun. But what's the greatest part about recursive is it may go back to different stages at different times. So think about this. Where would we implement design thinking? When you grew up, you had writing groups in schools? Yes or no? Anybody have writing groups? Okay, why did you have a writing group?
So that we
collaboratively, we all have different points of view, and then we could pick apart those points of view, and then that created the best product.
You nailed it, because that's exactly what you were doing, right? You had your prototype, and you would ask your peers for their feedback, the clarity to it of what you were trying to define in that paper before you did your final implementation of that paper. You just defined the writing process as design thinking. And not limited to that. Everything we do in our life is design thinking. Here's, I think, the best working definition. Again, it's a recursive process. It's meant to help people realize there are intentional stages that you go through, not just, hi, I woke up this morning and I have invented this. That's not how life works. That's not how thinking works. Because it is a mindset, people might say, well, you just showed me a process. The mindset is the growth mindset. The mindset of growth is that you want to seek feedback and you're willing to grow and learn from the iteration to make it better. That's why that garage exists. Motorsports does testing of what they're doing before they do a race. They get feedback constantly from their electronics. They constantly are measuring that and improving the purpose of what they are doing for motorsports. Questions about design thinking? I hope that was, did that relate?
Yeah.
I think everyone, I'd love to be like, hey, what's your career? Because I know you're using it, but I won't do that to this group.
It's like the old saying, Thomas Edison didn't fail 100 times. He found 100 ways not to make a light bulb.
Exactly, right? Or Michael Jordan talks about he missed 1,000 different times and failed all of these, but he kept getting up and kept working at it. This is why a culture and a mindset of design thinking is healthiest for a school. And it's not foreign to our educators. All they're doing is now putting name to practice. It supports project-based learning. We know that's the intentionality of this school. It supports the iterations that kids are doing from a small paper to entire projects. And we want to make it so it's a visible illustration of how thinking and learning works. I have peers in the room. Would you qualify anything that I've said here or point me in a different direction?
I think the only thing I would add is I hate to use the cliche, like the possibilities are limitless, but if you think about a teacher who's trained in this, going into a classroom and teaching the kids how to use this, you're talking about a situation where kids are leaving with skills they can walk out of the door and apply instantly. And it's great. We can teach kids theory and they can memorize this and that, but when they can take a skill and apply it in a setting, that differentiates them from a student who doesn't have that.
What do we need to do kind of formal instruction for our teachers to really institute something like this evenly across the board?
It started. Yeah, that was a part of where we were on the professional development day on January 6th. It is ongoing in divisional meetings. I think you will see it start to come to more overt usages in lower, middle, and upper.
It has been for a number of years.
There
are people who have done a lot of work, training, and I have some that have been doing it since I've been here.
And out of the faculty of about 100 faculty and staff, clear awareness is 80% of this faculty. So we were closing the gap with our speaker, with making it a professional development opportunity, and then it's an intentionality from each division. It's this part, learning from failure, that's the hardest part, and that's what learning is. Reminds me of my English papers that were all read, right? But you never got to revise it, so you didn't really learn. And now that cycle happens. On notebook paper. We're connected. That's good. That's good. Lastly, if I could shift. So we, the school, through the Board of Trustees, and through me, we have come together for a new strategic plan. Your prior head of school had a strategic plan that started in 2020, went through 2024, and actually when I was hired, I continued that model forward. The board, in working with me, has now said we are ready to launch the next iteration of the intentionality of a strategic plan for the school. So I ask that you save the date for February 20th. It'll be a 4 o'clock event. It's not just to hear me say, hi, we're going to do a strategic plan. It will be literally the launch so that it will be available for you to review. to see where we will be heading in the next 5 years. These are not shockers. As with any school, strategic plans are truly built around your faculty, your campus, and your intentionality of your programs. So, not that I'm taking away from the surprise, but that's really what a strategic launch will be. Now, that said, nobody wants to come and just hear me, so we're going to have a birthday party too. Part of the strategic plan talks about leveraging Giles. Giles has turned 1. Literally has turned the age of 1. So we're gonna have a birthday party to celebrate the Giles Institute for Inquiry, excuse me. And then we'll do a little breakout for science. So if you've ever experienced the Science Parent Night, has anybody gone to that? It's really cool. We'll be making that available too, so that after we cut some cake, celebrate, sing some happy birthday, you'll be able to explore the building and celebrate what we use Giles for. Much to that point, Giles is bringing people to us. This center, just on the other side of the wall, we have Augusta University who asked to come out today to make themselves available, deal with hypertension, make you aware. They reach out to us because they're finding this to be an amazing center for learning. You had an interesting group come recently regarding roofing. Would you share that real quick?
Yeah, so this company, Roof Savers, was doing some testing. There are products on the market right now that they can just spray on a roof, and what it does is it extends the life of a roof, but there are limitations to how much time it'll extend. They've come up with, working with a biochemist, come up with a new formula that basically allows them, that extends how long they can extend the life of a roof at a significantly lower cost. So roof with hail damage, they might be able to put a coat of this on and now get you another 15 years out of your roof instead of 3 years at a significant reduction in cost. Just put a new roof on my house. A little late. But they came and did their final testing for patent here in the garage. So they came, they set up, they had all these sample pieces of roofs, and then there's a whole lot of science behind how they have to do the testing. Consistent and identical, so many tries to hit markers in order to earn the patent. So the tests were to achieve those markers for the patent, but also to find out if what they believed would work with this product would actually work, and they were successful. So they spent a day here. They came in on Sunday, set everything up in the garage, and then came in and did the tests. They had journalists, someone from the news, and publicized the event basically. But it was a successful event, and then we had physics and chemistry classes come in and talk to the. So to be a patent attorney, you have to be you have to have a chemistry degree or a physics degree or a biology degree. So they got to talk to the kids about the application in a real world setting now, the things that they're learning in the classrooms. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely real world.
Yeah.
And that's the larger point of, they found us. They knew that this was a marker that they wanted their product to be aligned to, and that matters. Even to the astronaut that we have coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, that astronaut found you.
Yeah, that was.
It's not every day you find an astronaut getting in search. And to that trademark for the roof, that was design thinking happened at that moment, and our kids got to watch that process. So please save the date. We'll be sending out invitations. It'll be a wonderful celebration, and I look forward to hosting you at that time. The board chair will be speaking. Somebody else in this room will be speaking as part of the presentation too. So if anything, come support her. Any questions for me?
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's
Thank you.
good. That's great.
I appreciate it.
Being done on time. Are any questions for PFA available? No. Michelle, how's everything going with Booster?
We need volunteers. We have 69 spaces available over the next 4 weeks, so we can keep the snack shack open. So I've been sending out emails all morning trying to find volunteers to fill those spaces because, again, we have 69 openings. we have 5 big events coming up over the next 4 weeks. We have the middle school basketball championship afternoon. We have next Tuesday night, the 21st, we have 8 basketball games here. Both courts will be in use. Every team is playing. We are gonna be selling food, but I can't do it alone. So we need to fill those spaces. And then we are hosting the region basketball playoffs on February 10th, 11th, and 14th. And so that's gonna be a wonderful opportunity to make money, not from necessarily pro families, but from all the other schools we're hosting. And so I've been trying to target different groups all morning to get those spaces filled. But if we could get help with that, that would be wonderful, because that is, again, money we're raising, not just for athletics. The Booster Club now also raises money to support the fine arts programs and all the competitive sports teams. So anybody who can take a shift, I would love to see your smiling face selling Skittles and hot dogs.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
All right.
Yes, and just for our camera, and so they can just make sure that they heard that, Snack Shack is looking for support for the Booster Club so that they can support all of our sports and our clubs like chess, robotics, the theater department. So please look for that link and please sign up. There's a lot of activity going on. So thank you so much for those who've already signed up and sign up for more. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes.
Do we have any events coming up in the spring that you need volunteers for, other than this
Yes, so, and just kind of reiterate what we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, we have Teacher Appreciation coming up in March, where we're going to be soliciting volunteers for to help with lunches in each teacher lounge, and then as well as filling in for the teachers' lunch shifts. So we have eyes on the students, and the teachers and faculty can go into the lounges and enjoy a really nice catered lunch. So we need support